I know.
Hi, everybody. You just interrupted me calling Stuart a tosser. That's not
Well
embarrassing.
deserved. Well deserved, Paul. It really was.
We were trying to use a different text on screen, and Stuart A got one that was illegible, and then if that wasn't enough, he got the
It's the
wrong
wrong volume.
volume. I
Volume 4. We're not making that much progress.
was going to say, Stuart, even the peanuts I don't pay you is too much.
Yeah. Oh, you need to dock negative peanuts from me now. That's well deserved.
Right, well,
Well,
hello.
let's start as we go on.
Yeah, hello to everyone. I'm the hawthorn fancier today. As we get into the text, it's quite depraved descriptions of hawthorn bushes.
Yeah, it gets a bit erotic now, doesn't it? Mills and
Yeah,
Boone.
no, it gets really
Well,
flowery.
Mills and Prune.
Yeah, it's like very good. It's like Hitchcock's Vertigo when he's in the flower shop on acid. It's quite up there. What I was going to suggest is we're going to be doing tomorrow night if anyone's interested. So it's Wednesday today for people. Mind you, it's going to be too late, isn't it? If they're not watching this live. But in 24 hours, a bit more, we're going to be doing Moby Dick. So I'm looking forward to that. But today we're going to plow ahead. So we're going to, if we haven't got near it in the last 20 minutes, we're going to go straight to the lesbian, lusty, spitting on the photograph scene, which I think is one of the most psychologically dark things I've read. I think it's absolutely brilliant in a psychologically dark sort of way.
It is dark, isn't it?
So talking about dark, shall we start off with the perfume chamber pot?
There we go. So it's just before the chicken. Where did we get to? So we got Swan number.
Where are we? Yeah, you've got it. The aromatic. Yeah. Is it my eyesight or is that out of focus, Stu?
Might need zooming in. Is that better?
But the actual thing looks. It's probably me having a stroke. The actual thing looks a bit blurry.
Yeah, it looks okay to me. It looks clear.
Right. Well, I'm having a stroke. I like the way the casual way. You said, yeah, it's clear. It's clear, Paul. You're just having a stroke.
Should I call 999, Paul?
Preferably not. I'd probably prefer you phoned a vet, given the state of the National Health Service.
You might get better service.
Seriously, vets are better qualified. No offences to any medics who ever watch this, but I'd much rather be treated by a vet, and I'm probably closer to the animal kingdom.
Well, I don't think vets strike all the time, do they?
No, and vets aren't working in NHS hospitals where you probably get sicker than when you went in. But anyway.
MRSA. Anyway, talking to MRSA, let's talk about this chamber pot.
Well, are we going to, or are we leaving from that point?
I think we talked about it last week. And
anyway, if he's been eating a lot of asparagus, I'd rather not talk about the chamber pot.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about asparagus and sugar puffs last week. I went looking for sugar puffs and I couldn't find them in Spain. I was convinced you could get them here, but no sugar puffs in Spain. Are
you going to contact your local member of the whatever the Spanish Parliament's called?
The Congreso. Yeah, I'm going to write to my local member of Congreso and say,
well, it's human rights. It's human rights. You're an illegal immigrant in Spain, and you haven't got your sugar puffs.
Puffs de azúcar, por favor. Con miel. El monstruo de sugar puff.
Anyway, it's one of the big lacunae in Proust's work that he never described in his beautifully poetic way, sugar puffs.
No,
but he does describe, as Stuart euphemistically phrased it, the choking of the chicken in the... what's her name? Francoise is presented as quite a psychopath.
Yeah. Which is, it foreshadows some of the kind of the more darker theme stuff to come in the next 50 pages, doesn't it? Got culminating with the lesbian scene.
I found reading it back, and this is one of the, I don't know what you think. Part of me, and it's no offense, but part of me, when I start to read, knowing I'm going to have to do a session with you, it's like, oh, another thing to do. And then when I start reading, I really begin to enjoy it again. It's just that I've taken on too much. I try and do too much all the time, which is ironic given I'm the most, globally lazy person on earth. But in reading terms, yeah, well, this is it. So I'm doing an awful lot of reading, but then I began to remember why Proust is amazing. And in this particular section, the whole word page range that we've chosen
Yeah.
It's not a bad representation of why Proust is so brilliant, because it goes from a young boy's description of the hawthorn bush, hence my moniker today, to the politics of the servant, to the psychology of snobbery, to a lesbian, say, masochistic, sadistic scene.
Yeah, via extremely descriptive, realistic garden, strolling through gardens and nature and, childhood summers and things like that.
Yeah, isn't one of the volumes, because I don't have it in front of me, but it's something like within a budding grove, but isn't one of them basically described as, is that how that's how they translated it, but the main translation, the more literal translation, is young women about to bloom or something from memory.
Young women in flower or something like that.
Yeah, so when you think about that, because I'm now I've self-diagnosed myself as a potential pervert, so when I'm reading this stuff, I'm trying to avoid seeing sex everywhere.
Paul.
Well, no, because I've been doing Moby Dick, I read a book about psychoanalysis and Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Sandor Ferenczi?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he did this book, for those who don't know him, called Thalassa, and I might do a video on it, because it's basically the idea that
you told me about him, I think.
Yeah, all human beings are basically trying to get back in the womb, because we came from the sea originally as lungfish, and we have this DNA-based memory of being lungfish. So everything we do, sleeping, sex, everything, I mostly just eat all the time. So maybe I'm not the best example.
Yeah, you're only half a lungfish.
Or maybe I'm just eating to satiety and beyond. It's like a motto, satiety and beyond, so that I can go into this like coma-like state that's like being back in the womb. But it's it is. Why was it going on with this? Why did you distract me?
The next few pages being very, very sexual. It's basically it's him talking about his puberty, going through puberty, becoming aware of women, but he's using nature as the metaphor. Budding flowers, busy bees, and birds.
And as I was describing that, it just springing out in its blurred state from the screen at me, filthy creature, filthy creature. So I'm seeing the text is now heckling me. It's quite a disturbing phenomenon. But your point
is heckling you.
And again, why Proust is so brilliant is because God knows how many times I've read this. Because I've read the book a few times, and then every time we say we're going to do a section, we never finish it. So we go back and read it again to prepare for the next time. Yeah. So I must have read this particular section probably about 10 times, and you'd think, my God, that would be boring. And it isn't. It's weird. It's just different every time. And this time,
it's so dense. You just pick up on little descriptions every single sentence. So this is probably why this podcast was taking so long. It's like every single sentence is so dense. You could talk about it for 10 minutes.
Well, no, my theory was this is taking so long because you're dense.
Well, that's it. It's not a great combination.
Dense and denser.
Double density, yeah. Dense and density.
But it is during this page section, I just felt like it was on like a literary carousel or roller coaster, whatever phrase you want to use. It gives a bit of everything, and then it's the innocence of the hawthorn bush description, all these flowers going on and on. He's like sponsored by Interflora, and yet
absolutely,
yeah. But then you realize where it's all going.
Yeah.
And then you see.
Before we get stuck on this, I just want to make one point. Why specifically a hawthorn bush? Because hawthorn bushes are those ones with the big sawed off spikes on them, aren't they?
I am very, very ignorant. In my notes, we might get there later on, but in the Carter edition, I think he says hawthorn bushes are related to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, was it? I'm thinking if there's a religious connotation, because it was. I'm sure they're the ones with these big, 2 or 3 inch spikes on them. And I wonder if it has something to do with, the Passion of the Christ or loss of innocence, or also, this beautiful flower ball. So it's a double-edged sword kind of thing.
Well, any relationship as well. It starts off the most beautiful thing on earth, and then it becomes
you get stung
thorns.
In the end,
Well, it's thorns in your skull year after year. No, stop it, Paul. Stop it. Oversharing. But there is the whole point, the whole book is premised upon the poisonous nature of a lot of relationships.
It is, exactly, yeah. And I think the hawthorn bush kind of perfectly signifies that, because it's your beautiful flowers in spring. Once the flowers drop, you get a thorn in your ass, quite literally.
Yeah, well, let's not go there. So we've got Francoise, we realise, as well as her absolute loyalty to Aunt Leonie, is also
Yeah,
a card-carrying psychopath in other ways.
she is. Yep.
And that's one of the things Proust he's very good at doing, that portraying two sides or more of individual characters. It's never just one-dimensional people.
Yep.
Which I think Hollywood could learn a lot from, but never will.
Absolutely.
So
we got to Mr. Legrand or Monsieur Legrand. It was a few pages on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's this funny little rhyme that Francois does, doesn't she? Is it Francois?
Yeah, it's great, that.
Yeah, about people getting knocked up.
Yeah, my version slightly. Mine says snaps and snails and puppy dog tails and dirty sluts in plenty. That's the same there. Smell sweeter than roses in young men's noses when the heart is 1 and 20. You could add a few decades, Marcel.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But just before that as well, I've got in my notes, it just shows you how relevant and how human character doesn't change. On the page before that, it's all about Francoise when the maid is ill and she's sent off to find the medical dictionary where the doctors put instructions for her treatment. Francoise gets distracted and starts reading the dictionary or the encyclopedia, and she gets upset, whereas the actual real suffering maid she doesn't care about at all. And it just struck me, we won't go into the politics, but today's suicidal empathy and woke tsunami of emotion around the world, people are more bothered about what's happening on the other side of the world than their own societies. And it struck me that I think Proust is identifying part of human nature.
Yeah, we kind of, I think nowadays is like a hyper-mediated society, is that we're so bombarded with images. And I think, to draw on Baudrillard, that what's on the screen becomes what our reality is, and we actually forget what our physical reality is, what's going on around us, because we're so engaged with the screens. So yeah, I think this is an example of that.
But it's just pre-screen society. That's what interests me, that there are these tendencies, and I think what you're saying is screen society exacerbates them. But it's an underlying, it's something about the human imagination. It tends towards what you can distance yourself from and then indulge your sympathy.
Indulge in the distance, yeah.
Whereas people who actually need your sympathy in the here and now right next to you are too much of a pain in the neck. Yeah. Which I have sympathy for that point of view as well, because I'm a absolute misanthrope. So I have mixed views on that whole description, but I just think it's really nicely done. And then after that thing you read, after the little ditty, it's one of my favourite little bits from nature, the burrowing wasp that places its eggs.
Instead of caterpillar.
God, it is horrible, isn't it?
Yep. Trying to find it. There we go.
Yeah, so in reverse order, Proust is saying that Francois has these crafty and pitiless stratagems, and he makes the comparison with the burrowing wasp that paralyzes its victim and then lays its eggs. And there is, because I live in the countryside and you have in the past, and there is something, nature, and I know it's anthropomorphizing, but nature is a cruel, horrible sod.
It is. It is. I remember the other day, actually, is it, what's the bird that, it's called a butcher bird, and it basically, it looks like a cute little fluffy sparrow or something like that, black and white, and then it kills mice and lizards, and then it basically impales the lizards on top of hawthorn bushes, on top of the spikes, basically to store the food for later.
Yeah, it's it is. And again, maybe I'm thinking about the cruelty of nature, not even so much nature, human nature, because we've been reading Moby Dick, and that is quite. I'm not easily triggered or offended or disgusted, but Moby Dick takes you to the edge.
Oh, it's funny. It's a dark comedy, Moby Dick. I love it.
No, it is, but it's so many things. Let's not talk about Moby Dick. No. But it is.
We just cancel Bruce and do Moby Dick. Do a pre-session because it's so good.
No, it is good, and if people get the chance, please do tune in
tomorrow night. Now, word from our sponsor, Moby Dick, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Oh, no, 7 p.m. for you guys in the UK.
Right, so we have
Anyhow,
the
forward march. Let's keep going.
yeah. I'm not going to let you distract me as you do.
I think we distract each other. Monsieur Legrand. So I think it's interesting. We've talked about Francois. Very kind of the class system she inhibits. Like she has to use kind of like sneakiness and strategy to implant her will within kind of the household milieu. And then we kind of jump into this character, Monsieur Legrand. Like, from my understanding of it,
I think
there's
it's
a
Le
conversation.
Grandin.
Le Grandin, that's the one, Le Grandin. There's a conversation about Balbec, and I think it's Proust's father, Marcel's father, is asking something about wanting to go to what's it like in Balbec, and Monsieur Le Grandin kind of he's kind of a little bit implicit about, oh, you don't want to go there, things go on there, which kind of is kind of, you know, signaling a bit what we're going to see a little bit later with the lesbian scene, what we see later in the novel about how, you know, relationships and how when Marcel grows up becomes a little bit messy, adult relationships, sexual relationships, and things like that. But I don't know. I can't work out this character. It feels to me like it's a very important section, but it kind of just, I don't know, just kind of passes by. What do you think?
Am I getting confused? This is the guy with the wobbly backside, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh yeah, it's just further on.
Yeah.
No, I really like this bit because I just think it brings out he basically waddles like a penguin with excitement because he's such a snob, and that is a theme that's obviously slightly autobiographical. I think Proust was well connected, but I don't think he came from an overly he didn't come from an aristocratic background. So I think some of these issues are quite personal to him. But the way he describes the comic elements, my favourite bit of all this, it's later on, but when he's asked, doesn't your sister live in Baalbek or nearby?
That's it. Yeah.
And he just adopts this, sorry to be crude, but I call it the poo face, where there's this blank look in your eyes. And if anyone's ever asked you a question you just don't want to answer,
Yeah.
it's called marriage, everyone.
That's it.
I've perfected this blank stare, this 1,000-mile stare, and then you try and change the topic, and of course your spouse never believes you for a second. But it's just, again, it's Proust's psychological insight is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
he doesn't want to admit what he knows, kind of thing. He's kind of obfuscating and distracting, and that's it. Tell me, sir, do you know by any chance know the ladies of Gamantes?
Gamon.
No, I don't know them.
It's just that, I've always, could you go back to that section on the eye? Because I've always been fascinated. And I'm going to do, when I do a Moby Dick video, I've got several thumbnails, and I'm going to basically bore people to death with loads of different videos. But one of them has a whale's eye. And just the sheer size of a whale's eye is enough to be fascinated by it. But even with human eyes, the amount of emotion and the way he describes this flicker, I've never understood how, with just a gelatinous orb that's stuck in a skull, so many emotions or subtleties can be recognized or seen. I just find it shouldn't. It's one of those. It's a biological entity, an eye, but actually, without sounding all Shakespearean, it contains endless depths. And that, I've always found that absolutely, amazing. The little bit of jelly you can see what someone's thinking sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy for me because normally it's contempt and ridicule in their eyes. But
scorn for the world.
No, scorn at me.
Scorn for everything.
But would you accept this?
I would accept it. I would wonder. I would probably argue that there's a biological reason for that. I think, being social creatures, I think humans have innately learnt over centuries and millennia to read faces, to read especially eyes, especially how the eyes move. You can see. And I've always thought that evil people, or people who do evil, generally look evil. You can see in their eyes, like you say, you can see in their face. When we say we see in the eyes, I think it's more case the eye is the focal point, but you see in their face that
So
something's up.
is that why loads of people online have said I look like Harold Shipman? Is that what you're alluding to?
Could possibly be, yeah. Could possibly.
No, what is it? It's
No,
Harold Shipman, or who's the other guy? Rolf Harris, are the two I get compared to.
Rolf Harris, yeah. Rolf was a character. But the thing is that in the olden days, watching Rolf Harris on TV, he didn't look evil. But I mean, Jimmy Savile looked like Satan incarnate, even in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, can you see what
Rolf
it is?
A surprise. Wibble wobble.
Well, that's what reminded me. It was the
creepy.
It was the ululating buttocks of Mr. Legrandin, and it was the wiffle board that Rolf Harris used to use.
Yeah, it was.
There's the associations. Yeah, Proust wasn't aware of these associations that arrived later in life.
Yeah. Do you remember that? Just get distracted very quickly. Do you remember that Brass Eye special, Peter Geddon? And
I'd rather not, Stuart, in this particular context.
But no, there's a bit on it where obviously it's satire, and he's saying, these people use hand signals, and he's just there in the middle of the street doing like semaphore. And I wonder if Rolf Harris's thing with his wibbleboard is kind of sending the signals out to fellow travelers, so to speak.
Right. Well, quickly before we attract loads of Rolf Harris supporters.
Yeah, Rolf Harris bad. This channel disapproves.
When you see, I'm just thinking back to this. So we've got he's just had this penguin-like, the tense muscular wave to ripple over Legrandin's rump, which I had not supposed to be so fleshy. I cannot say why, but this undulation of pure matter, this wholly carnal flow, with not the least hint in it of spirituality, this wave lashed to a fury by the wind of an obsequiousness of the basest sort, awoke my mind suddenly to the possibility of a Legrandin altogether different from the one whom we knew. And I think that's also true. There are moments, like when I found you in that compromising situation years ago, when you see someone in a completely different light, and it takes some work to get through the trauma, but you do see that the way in which people can appear and disappear and be seen in completely different lights. Yeah. And all of this type of quite, acute psychological insight is in the midst of all these ridiculous discussions of flowers, and not ridiculous, but to say it's flowery language would be the most redundant term possible. Yeah.
It's almost intentional that he's using that concept of flowery language to just go all in on it.
We've started something, Stuart. Night Sky in the comments saw Rolf Harris one year at Butlins.
Oh no, Butlins as well. Plenty of nooks and crannies in Butlins.
Can I just corpse in the corner while you carry on?
Can we think of a theorist to link Rolf Harris to, and then we can do a live stream about that? Yeah, Rolf Harris and Schopenhauer or something like that.
Right.
Oh, man.
Quick, that's Night Sky's fault.
Yeah, Night Sky setting us off.
Yeah. So we don't need encouragement from the comments. Thank you very much.
But there's a great quote. I'm going to put... I think this is one of the key sentences. So he's still talking about Legrand, this is not to say that... I keep saying Legrand.
Missing out the don.
Why do I keep saying missing the don? This is not to say that Monsieur Legrandin was anything but sincere when he inveighed against snobs. He could not, from his own knowledge at least, be aware that he himself was one, since it is only with the passions of others that we are ever really familiar. And what we come to discover about our own can only be learned from them. I think that's one of the key sentences in the novel so far. And this idea that we're always kind of we consider who we are only in the I guess only in the presence of other people, and it's I don't know, it's very dialectical in a sense that if we think of the concept of individuation, you can only really individuate. You can only become who you are, but with comparison with what's not you. If that makes any sense?
Yeah, it's Sartre.
Yeah.
The whole constitution of the self type idea.
Yeah.
And ironically, this is the irony, isn't it, in Sartre? Hell is other people, but you're only constituted as a self in relation to other people. So we're trapped in this hell of having to deal with other people. Although I've mostly removed people from my particular cosmos. So, but in general, most normal, well-adjusted people have to deal with other people while simultaneously, like, as you're pointing out, they're the only ones who can really see all your faults.
It's not exactly it's Sartre. It's not just Sartre. It's Sartre. It's Heidegger. Das Man.
Oh yeah. Well, but he's the one who made me think of it immediately.
He's the one that comes to mind first. Gilberte Swann, another French thinker. His concept of individuation, like individuation, is always a process of interacting with something else to become, something concretized. It's a very deep sentence, and it also kind of foreshadows the lesbian scene in a bit, because there's this kind of duality of person. The daughter of the father who's died, she only becomes into sadism because of the other person, because of her partner, but it's insinuated that she wants to be like that, or she is like that, but she can only be like that when she's got a scapegoat, when she's got an externalized person from which to become like that. So yeah, all linked.
Yeah, I also, let's not jump ahead to that bit. If you could, yeah, there was the bit, I think you went ahead, but when he fixed his eyes on the mid-distance, he lost, which was suddenly lost in profound reverie, on so distant a point of the horizon that he could not see us, and so had not to acknowledge our presence. His face retained an air of innocence above his straight and supple coat, which looked as though conscious of having been led astray in spite of itself in the midst of detested splendour. And then a polka-dotted necktie stirred by the breezes of the square continued to float in front of Legrandin, like the standard of his proud isolation, of his noble independence.
There we go.
And it's brilliant the way he does the... So he's looking with a blank face into the distance to avoid having to answer for his crimes of snobbery. But then it's the way in which Proust links the psychology with inanimate objects. So his clothes are described in quite vivid detail. The single-breasted jacket and the necktie. And it's the way, and all the way through this range of pages, Proust uses nature as a contrast and a foil for the things he's talking about. So it's the way in which I think he's such a great writer, because if it was just pure psychology, it wouldn't be that interesting. If it was pure nature descriptions, but it's the way he blends all of these.
I think seamlessly blends with Diada. It's just so organic how it just flows between the two. And like you said, you said you've been reading this section like 10 times. That's where you get so much from it, because I think he manages to weave in a movement, like the movement of time within the text, by jumping between moments, but not just moments, but registers, tense, tones, concept, let's say nature to man, man to emotion, past, present, future.
I think what I like about him is slightly further on, but it's the way in which I think there's a tendency in modern writing, and it's interesting, it's something I might talk about in future. But when I did Jane Eyre, there was a little bit of pushback. People who find it too melodramatic or don't like the writing. And I do think part of that, not all of it, I understand why something like Jane Eyre is melodramatic and can put people off. But Frankenstein and Jane Eyre, like Mary Shelley, Charlotte Bronte, there's certain Victorian female writers where the style was slightly even more florid than Proust. Proust, I think, for most people, is a bit more on the acceptable side of florid, because it's not so melodramatic and it's a bit more nuanced and clever.
Yeah.
But there is an element of just the pure celebration of language in some Victorian writers that I think increasingly one of the reasons people don't like it is we just find it hard to relate to. Because modern writing and modern communications is much more terse, shorter sentences. So as an example of what...
It's utilitarian.
Whereas I think what attracts people and repels people from Proust is just the verboseness. So later on, he talks about Le Grand Dame. He brushed past us and did not interrupt what he was saying to her, but gave us at the corner of his blue eye a little sign which began and ended, so to speak, inside his eyelids, as it did not involve the least movement of his facial muscles. Managed to pass quite unperceived by the lady, but striving to compensate by the intensity of his feelings for the somewhat restricted field in which they had to find expression. He made that blue chink which was set apart for us sparkle with all the animation of cordiality which went far beyond mere playfulness and almost bordered on mischievousness. He subtilized the refinements of amiability into winks of connivance, hints, innuendos, all the mysteries of complicity in a plot, and finally exalted his assurances of friendship to the level of protestations of affection, even of a declaration of love, lighting up for us and for us alone with a secret languor, invisible to the chatelaine by his side, an enamoured eye in a face of ice. That is just...
Take a breath, Paul.
That is just amazing writing.
It is incredible, yeah.
And what I'm saying is, I'm trying to defend Charlotte Bronte and Mary Shelley. I think there are elements of this in them. But what sets Proust apart is he manages to inject humour and a little bit more, well, a lot more nuance and tongue-in-cheekness, if that's a literary accepted phrase.
Yeah.
I think my dogs are kicking off. So I'm just wondering if they've savaged someone, but I think Proust is more important.
I heard the dog barking. Was it in your house?
I've got my headphones on, but it's more than likely it sounded like Jürgen.
Yeah.
Right, did you want to say anything beyond this?
No, I think we're okay about the grand. I got that sentence, and then beyond
sorry, before you go on, you can carry on. I just wanted to mention the weird perviness of this whole. So he was a married man. It's this your notion of the introduction of the sexuality, but Monsieur Legrandin, he basically starts to chat up Marcel, or it's very, again, have I been reading too much Ferenczi? But it's coded, and I can give you evidence from the notes that Carter produces, that I think he quotes some Balzac novels to Marcel.
Yeah.
And some of those Balzac quotes are about a borderline homosexual character who's very ambiguous. And that strikes me as, again, one of Proust. Proust seemed to live in this hinterland. He wasn't quite fully gay, and he definitely wasn't totally straight in reality. And I think that comes across in the actual writing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the because I know exactly what you mean. As I was reading it, there was this hint of another world. Marcel, these pleasures exist, kind of thing.
Oh, and then sorry about ironically, given that the quote is about silence, and I'm about to rabbit on about it. And you see, my boy, there comes in all lives a time toward which you still have far to go, when the weary eyes can endure but one kind of light. The light that a fine evening like this prepares and distills for us in the darkness, when the ears can listen to no music save what the moonlight plays on the flute of silence. And this apparently it echoes, there's an epigraph in one of Balzac novels, Le Médecin de Campagne, which says in English, for hearts that are wounded, silence and shadow. I just love this. Again, it's complicated because it's beautiful language, but you're in this really, we were talking about Rolf Harris, you're in this really dodgy interaction between a young Marcel and this guy with these predatory overtones in the language.
Yep.
And again, I just can't think of many writers who express the innocence of youth combined with the depravity of adulthood, mixes them all up with a few flower metaphors.
Yeah, and a bit of a joke as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say, maybe it's the wrong term, but it's a potpourri of all these things. A strongly smelling potpourri.
Yeah, strongly smelling Balzac of potpourri.
Yeah, careful how you say Balzac in this.
I know, yeah, I'm well aware, don't worry.
Sorry, the spirit of Viz has inhabited us.
Yeah, YouTube has taken your video down. Yeah.
That would be, Stuart sent me a strip from Viz that was Carry On Camus,
Yeah.
all about it was a mock of Carry On Camping, the old English comedy classic. But there was I'm trying to think of the. No, I'm wondering whether I should go there or not. No, probably not. I'm just thinking, what if you tried to do a Viz version of Proust?
The Proust, yeah, but do it in a really crude, like, comedy, him onanism and the
No.
hawthorn bush and
I
stuff like
actually
that.
think that the beauty of the Viz thing you sent me about Camus was that it was actually
It was
true
subtle,
to
yeah.
Camus' thought.
Yeah.
That was the genius, and I just wonder whether it would be. Imagine how long it would take, but if you did a Viz type subtle interpretation of Proust, it'd be absolutely amazing because all the raw materials are there. So
I think they would Balzac it up and do like a very crude version of him in the room with the lantern and under the sheets going, "Core blimey," But yeah, let's not go there. We'll get sidetracked.
Oh, and then again, just to show that the layers of the symbolism. But at the sound of the word Gamont, I saw in the middle of each of our friends' blue eyes a little brown dimple appear, as though they'd been pierced by some invisible pin, while the rest of his pupils reacted by secreting floods of azure. The rings around his eyelids darkened and drooped. His mouth, marked with a bitter crease, was the first to recover and smiled, while his eyes still seemed full of pain, like the eyes of a good-looking martyr whose body bristles with arrows. So that's Saint Sebastian reference, who was basically the patron saint of gay people, or gay men, who's in a lot of homoerotic art, all pierced, symbolically and Freudianly with arrows left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is more your area of expertise, Stuart. Do you want to expand?
I've never heard of what's his name again? Saint
Sebastian.
Saint Sebastian. Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's actually really interesting.
Well, no, if you are you now being sarcastic?
No, I'm genuinely interested because I always thought, Old Testament, Leviticus, thou shalt not sleep with a man. I didn't know there would be a Christian gay.
When I said patron saint, I wasn't being literal.
No, I thought you were being literal. I was like,
no. As a lapsed Catholic, I have enough of Catholicism left in me to realise that even as woke as the Catholic Church has gone,
I was going to say, even
it
the
wouldn't
Pope
have a patron saint of gay men.
Yeah, patron saint of LGBTQ plus, minus, up, down, left, right, forward, backwards.
But he's been adopted. The point being, in art, if you check it out, there are, because of the masochistic elements of being pierced with arrows, he's been adopted in various ways. But the other example would be there is some who's the Prometheus. If you look at depictions of Prometheus being nailed, that is homoerotic in lots of depictions as well. So it's just interesting in the history of art, the way they got their homoerotic urges out,
the way they
sublimated was in some of these depictions.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So where are we?
I think we've milked Monsieur Legrandin. Just past Monsieur Legrandin, there's an incredible. We talked about skies in a previous video. There's an incredible description of a sunset. I'm just trying to think where it's going to be. The page numbers in this version is a bit different. Here we go. So Aunt Leonie dies soon, doesn't she? It's that in itself is quite abrupt. It's just Aunt Leonie is dead. But just before that, here we go. As we turn into Rue de Saint-Esprit, a reflection of the setting sun in the windows of a house and a band of crimson beyond the timbers of the Calvary, which was mirrored further on in the pond. A fiery glow, accompanied often by a sharp tang in the air, would associate itself in my mind with the glow of the fire over which, at that very moment, was roasting the chicken. And then here we go, a little bit further on as well. There we go. Any reflection from the western sky lighting up the window panes upon me at the Calvary would have lost its fiery glow. And it goes, opalescent pallor, the ribbon of moonlight. better as well. No, yeah, I can't find the exact bit in this edition actually, but yeah, it's just a very intense description of like just the color in the sky. I think as you're reading it, you're actually kind of really with Proust.
Yeah, I'm now slightly discombobulated because I think you jumped ahead from where I am able to keep up with. But would you be able to find the bit where he talks about? It's just after the bit about the Odyssey, the comparison with the Odyssey, the Cimmerians and the Odyssey.
Here we go. Yeah.
And then it's what we were talking about. It's the comedy element where the father refuses to let go of asking him about Baalbek. So, in a final and desperate effort, the smiling gaze of Legrandin reached the extreme limits of its tenderness, vagueness, candor, and distraction. Then, feeling no doubt that there was nothing left but to answer, he said to us, "I have friends all the world over, wherever there are companies of trees stricken but not defeated, which have come together to offer a common supplication with pathetic obstinacy to an inclement sky that has no mercy on them." "That is not quite what I meant," interrupted my father.
It's a great distraction.
Yeah, obstinate as a tree and merciless as the sky. And that just reminded me of if it doesn't matter what your politics are, if you see a politician being interviewed by a good journalist and just the absolute word salad and the refusal to answer a question that everybody knows the truth of the answer to, but which can't be said because this is politics.
Yeah, they go to school for that. There's advisors that teach them how to do that.
Well, disgraceful.
I know, it's a problem. They're not there to serve us, I can tell you that.
Oh, and then there's a bit it's about a page further on than that. He talks about my father spoke to him of it again as often as we met him and tortured him with questions, which is the type of thing I'd do. But it was a labour in vain, like that scholarly swindler who devoted to the fabrication of forged palimpsests, a labour and knowledge the 100th part of which would have sufficed to establish him in a more lucrative but honourable occupation. And again, it's the psychological insight. So, for example, if I'm asked to put the bins out at the end of the drive, I will spend a whole day creating stratagems to avoid having to do that job. Whereas if I just went and did the job, that's it, it's done.
It's done. Yeah, my wife's like that with emptying the dishwasher.
And I just think, again, it's just, these are such basic, domestic things, but actually they speak to something quite profound.
Yeah, there is some jobs they're so easy but so annoying to do. Just irritating.
Well, if in my world, if you substitute some for all, then you understand my perspective.
Except reading, of course.
Or sitting, dribbling on myself, eating KFC type thing, yeah.
KFC? How do you get KFC in rural Wales?
It's a problem.
Like, Deliveroo, whatever it's called. Just Eat. Some guy drives all the way from the nearest big town. Cold KFC.
It's like DFC, Die FC.
Oh, yeah. CFC, Cold FC.
Llandudno FC.
Oh, they were the best ones usually. Those like the fake KFC, AFC, like American Fried Chicken. Deep fried FC.
Incontinent Jay's back in the house, and
hey Jay, how we doing?
I was discussing with him online KFC and how I like to eat family buckets in my underwear, and
family bucket.
And he was saying Popeyes, but we don't get Popeyes in the UK, or hardly any.
It's not. They just come to Spain. Actually, they're all over the place. Good job. I'm vegetarian, so I can't eat it, but I don't want to eat it. But yeah, the Popeyes.
So what's it called in Spanish? El Ojo de
Popeyes. It's spelled like Popeyes, but they say it's like Popeyes.
Yeah, I think just to get rid of Jay once and for all, we should spend the next 10 minutes talking about the beauty of a KFC family bucket. Jay really hates KFC.
Yeah, me too. When I used to eat it, it was always like so greasy. Like KFC's the ones that use those like genetically modified chickens as well. They're just basically like big lumps of.
Oh yeah, they're the really tasty ones. A true connoisseur like me can tell you if it's been a genetically modified Franken chicken or if it's a plain boring normal chicken.
So they recently, obviously in the past 100 years, they discovered umami. It was like the 5th taste. So you got the 6th taste for GM.
I can tell.
You really are
No,
advanced.
seriously, I can tell the difference in a genuine chicken and a Franken chicken, and I prefer the Franken chicken.
Can you tell the difference between a Morrison's extra tasty rotisserie chicken and a Franken chicken? Are they the same thing?
Anyway, this
I want to
discussion,
see this on camera.
this discussion was brought to you by KFC, partly to
Yeah.
annoy Jay, but also partly in honor of Francoise killing the filthy creature earlier on,
Yeah.
to desperately trying to drag it back. Oh no, HR Death Poet used to work at KFC.
Oh no, unlucky. I couldn't imagine anything worse working for a fast food company.
Oh no, imagine if I'd have been. I've never gone out with anyone who's worked in a fast food place, but to come back home, like, and it's in your pores, the smell of fat.
Yeah.
Oh, I've missed out on life. Oh.
When I was an undergraduate in Sheffield, I used to really fancy a girl. She's like one of my best friends, and she worked in a chip shop. And yeah, I'm not joking. Yeah, I know. She would come back from a shift sometime, and I was like, I mean, it shows you really like someone when they come home from work and stinking a cod and grease, and you're still thinking, oh, I'm really into you. Like,
no, that's how different are you and I? I would not use the phrase stink. I would talk about a Proustian aromatic scent of deep fried bliss.
Musk.
Yeah, you've completely misunderstood the whole Proustian smell sensation of the deep fried food industry. Shame on you.
I know. I just don't get it. I'm not good enough for it.
No, there is something. People have a sweet tooth. I love the taste of saturated fat. If I had never had another dessert for the rest of my life, wouldn't bother me. But the umami of a certain type of oily fat. And it's one of the few things I do like fried chicken, but it's like fish and chips is so nice because it's a particular form of oleaginous, crispy.
It's got to be with beef tallow, is it? Yeah, it's the chips that are cooked in beef tallow. It's like, because it congeals, doesn't it? But it congeals in a very natural way. I think anything with seed oil, anything fried in seed oil is not. Nah, I know what you mean. It doesn't have that congealed goodness because the fish and the chips and the peas in it and just kind of becomes one.
And it's also the way in which when it's a really good deep fried meal, you can actually feel it. This is Proustian. You can actually feel the cholesterol's becoming saturated and drifting down to the walls of your arteries.
You really can, yeah.
And that is the true deep fat fried. It's basically why Scotland is it's like the Michelin-starred centre of deep friedness.
Fried food, yeah, absolutely.
Right, quickly moving on. You distracted us again.
I'm getting hungry now. Should we just call it a day and go for lunch? See you, Paul, on your own. I don't know where to get fish and chips in Madrid, though.
Well, maybe that's the new thing. We could just... I've got to find a Popeyes and like stick it in the air fryer, reanimate it like Frankenstein, and we should do a live stream with just us eating different fast foods.
I've got an idea. Do you want me to buy you a Popeyes here in Madrid, post it over to you, you stick it in the air fryer, hopefully it's not going to make you sick, and you tell me what it tastes like? Or even better, I can go to Popeyes because it all comes frozen from a factory. They just reheat it in the fast food place. I'll ask them for it frozen and tell them I want to cook it at home. I'll put it in one of these cryo packs, these dry ice packs, and send it. I mean, you're paying the postage though, because I bet it costs a bloody fortune. Can you imagine going to the Correos, the post shop here, and saying, hola, buenos días, tengo un paquete muy frío para mi compañero en Inglaterra. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta para...?
El pollo.
Pollo helado. No, pollo congelado. De Popeyes.
Welcome to Proust Does Pollo.
Proust con Popeye.
Right.
Did you know Popeye is called Popinha in Spain? So they probably don't make the connection between Popeye's chicken and Popeye. The character. Right. Just so you know.
And we're not going to go there, but Pompino means something completely different.
I
in
know
Italian.
we're not going.
We're not going there. No.
We're not going to go there at all. No, absolutely not.
And that will stay a secret between us and any Italian-speaking people in the chat.
I was in a club in Leeds once, actually. Do you remember there's an Italian guy on the PhD program?
Yeah.
Good lad. So me and him were out, and he had some of his Italian friends, and I had a few to drink, and I got a bit bawdy and was talking to a guy saying, I know Italian, blah blah blah, and I said that, and yeah, they didn't talk to me for the rest of the night.
You always were an expert. I thought I was good at alienating people. Grasshopper, when you can alienate everybody, it is time for you to leave the temple.
It was definitely a Diogenes moment. Get away from me, Bobino. Yeah.
Right. So where are we? Let's jump ahead.
Let's jump ahead to the Hawthorns.
What's that song? Jump ahead.
Jump around.
Jump around.
Yeah, there was the Irish guys. House of Pain.
Right. So then we get into the weird flower descriptions, don't we?
I'm trying to find it. Here we are.
It's not often I actually applaud people in the comments, but HR Death Poet, which is a great name, lay me down in a bed of spinach. Don't you stop until you're finished. Olive oil. Proust is turning in his grave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, somewhere. Right, before you go on to your pervy thing about nymphs, can I just mention somewhere in one of the tall trees, an invisible bird was striving to make the day seem shorter, was exploring with a long, continuous note the solitude that pressed it on every side. But it received at once so unanimous an answer, so powerful a repercussion of silence and immobility, that one would have said it had arrested for all time the moment that it had been trying to make pass more quickly.
Here we go.
I just think that's stunning, the way in which the idea that silence and trying to fill silence, which I think describes modern society.
That's the problem we inhabit all the time now.
Yeah, but when the silence, when the noise stops, the silence is even more overpowering. So when I've finished my family bucket and I'm there on the sofa, and the silence and self-disgust descend upon me.
The chomping and slobbering is ended, and you're left with the cold hard pile of avian bones. Silence. Smeared with ketchup, grease.
And even the dogs won't lick off the excess grease.
Oh no. No, it's not grease, Paul. It's nasty stuff. It's congealed chicken fat and whatever they fry it in.
Anyway, I wonder whether Jay's gone now.
I think he's gone to get Popeyes by the sounds of it. Yeah.
No, it's like 8 in the morning in Texas. That would be hardcore.
Yeah, they're open for which is the one that opens 24 hours. Is it Waffle House?
That's what we should call this channel.
Waffle House.
Right, come on, get a move on.
I don't know where are we now. So yeah.
So the hawthorn blossoms are coming up.
Yeah, hawthorn. Did we go past it? There you go. The fragrance of hawthorn blossom.
Well, I've just put in my notes gold medal for flowery writing.
Throbbing with the fragrance of hawthorn blossoms.
But then the perviness that's just insinuated, I was going to say inserted, but I won't. How simple and rustic in comparison with these would seem the wild roses, which in a few weeks' time would be climbing the same hillside path in the heat of the sun, dressed in the smooth silk of their blushing pink bodices that a breath of wind undoes. A pervert.
Absolutely. But it goes on for pages and pages like this, and then it's his first encounter with the girl, isn't it? Just after that.
Yeah, well, this is the flowering. What's it called? The young girls flowering. What's that title of that volume? I had it written down. In the shadow of young girls in flower.
That's it.
This is one. If you're going to talk about Young Girls in Flower. This is just one massive paragraph after paragraph of florid foreplay.
Flowers in Flower, yeah.
But this is like the almost the tumescent ending of all this, with the pink bodices being blown off by the wind.
Just try to see.
Yeah, Night Sky saying, is this sublimation? I would call it tumescent excess. Tumescent verbiage.
This is the one, yeah. A single poppy hoisting upon its slender rigging and holding against the breeze its scarlet ensign over the buoy of rich black earth from which it sprang, made my heart beat like that of a traveller who glimpses on some low-lying ground a stranded boat, which is being caulked and made seaworthy, and cries out, although he has not yet caught sight of it, the sea. And then he returns to the hawthorns.
Which, as you've pointed out, is just, it's, I can never remember. It's probably desublimated puberty, isn't it? Rather than sublimate. Or is it sublimation? I've lost the will to live. But then you get the, and again, sorry to be, but the perviness that's implicit. High up on the branches, like so many of those little rose trees, their pots concealed in paper lace, whose slender fleurs brightened the altar on great feast days. And so it gives you the religious connotation, then goes full perv. 1,000 small buds were swelling and opening, paler in colour, but each disclosing as it burst, as at the bottom of the cup of pink marble, its blood-red stain. So it's not, at this point...
Couldn't be any clearer, really.
I don't think it's too subtle. And then, a few lines later, taking its place in the hedge, but as different from it as a young girl in a party dress.
This bit, yeah. Deliciously demure and Catholic.
Some gillyflowers held open their fresh plump purses of a pink as fragrant and as faded as old cordovan leather.
Yeah.
And then, again, I'll just finish on this appropriately orgasmic final bit. Suddenly I stood still, unable to move, as happens when something appears that requires not only your eyes to take it in, but involves a deeper kind of perception and takes possession of the whole of our being. So it's this, like, orgasmic final description, and then a little girl with fair reddish hair immediately...
Into Rolf Harris territory.
Yeah. We're in Gilberte.
Yeah. But I just think this whole section, I kind of feel as though we're in nature. He's talking about all this, using nature as a metaphor for puberty, and then it's suddenly ruptured. We go away from nature and it's suddenly ruptured by the presence of this girl. And when I was reading it, it was very intense. It was just like pop, like bang, there we go. And now this is what this is all about.
Which, yeah, you could do like a whole PhD on abrupt,
just on this section.
I would call my thesis on Proust abrupt paragraphical transitions in Proust. A cross-cultural comparison.
Yeah.
And that would get you funding.
It would get you funding, yeah. You got to add some gender in there as well. But yeah, it's an interesting description of like first love, because it's clear that at this point he's not fully aware of what's going on, but he has a good idea of what he's feeling, if that makes any sense.
He has a growing idea, that's for sure.
Yeah. See, I gazed at her first with that gaze, which is not merely the messenger of the eyes. And again, this links back to Les Grands Dents and the eyes, but whose window all the senses assemble and lean out, petrified and anxious, were a gaze eager to reach, touch, capture, bear off in triumph the body at which it is aimed, and the soul with the body.
I was thinking of the pop song, it's not petrified and anxious. What was the KLF?
Justified Ancients of Mu.
Yeah, Justified and Ancient. Yeah,
Yeah.
he drove a ice cream
Dolly
van.
Parton.
Yeah,
Mm.
that is one of the world's best. But I was just thinking when you said petrified and anxious, KLF sprang to mind.
KLF. Ooh, ooh, ah. They did that one. It's Grim Up North as well, where they just recite the names of northern towns like Manchester, Halifax, Barnsley, Leeds. It's Grim Up North.
No, but that justified an ancient with Dolly Parton. That is when American met British culture at its best. It was incredible.
Yeah. They were the guys who supposedly burnt £1 million pounds
quid,
on a Scottish island or something like that. Yeah, I'm sure they used to be. There's another rave band that they did. There's something to do with Alternate as well, because they were big into that Manchester scene and the early kind of 90s, late 80s, early 90s rave scene as well. So I'm sure they did some stuff in clubs, different projects and stuff like that. They were all over the place at one point.
KLF, and then it's beyond Barry White. My musical knowledge is struggling. But if KLF had cooperated or did what do they call it when they cooperate?
A collaboration.
A collaboration, collab with Barry White and KLF, I would have paid good money to see that.
That's it.
My autobiography would probably now be called Unjustified and Ancient.
And they did that Doctor Who theme as well, didn't they? The Time Lords, the TARDIS or something like that. It was like weird remix of Doctor Who. I remember. I'm gonna go listen to them later. Doctor in the TARDIS, that was it. Doctor Who.
Or I could call myself Dr. Retardis. That would be a good
Dr. Retardis. Dr. Retardis and the Proustians. Oh man, I don't think kids would get that nowadays. You could go for the Pink Pound Paul and call it Dr. Retardis and the Gaelics. That would be a good seller, yeah. Euro disco band.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, I'm going to give you a 10-minute warning.
Yeah.
That we need to get to the lesbian scene in 10 minutes.
Right.
So that's your 10-minute warning.
It's not a phrase you often get to use. 10 minutes before we meet the lesbians.
10 minutes for lesbians. You'll get one more warning in 5 minutes. It's in 10 minutes, people, in the pink room. We will be discussing the lesbian scene. Seats are limited, so please get there early. Thank you. Oh, I think I've killed him. Oh, no. Breathe, Paul. Relax. Please stand by. Proust channel is experiencing technical difficulties. We will be back shortly.
I used to be an academic.
Yeah. and this is why you're no longer not.
I used to be someone. Look what I'm reduced to.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Right, come on, quickly pick something that we can discuss.
Yeah, I think so. He's talking about he wants to reach out and metaphorically kidnap this girl, and he says something, send a woman to appear. He's basically gone for a walk again, and he's saying he's trying to find it. For some reason, this always jumps ahead. What page are we on now? Here we go. Let's try again. I'm not finding it. Yeah, I really need to get this edition sorted so it matches up to my notes.
Yeah, getting the right volume is a good starting point.
Yeah, I need to go and revisit that. Okay. So yeah, essentially, there's a bit when he's talking about it's past the girl scene, and he goes back into his walking around Combray, and essentially it's the desire for a woman to appear. I'm actually just gonna skip all this technology bollocks and go straight to the book and actually find the quote, because I think it's quite important.
Hey, Jimbo in the chat said, I don't know whether it's me or you. He says you're rocking a Colonel Sanders-esque hairstyle. Is that me or you?
I think it's you, Paul. Sorry to say. It's what happens when you eat it all the time. You actually kind of morph into the Colonel. It's like one of those AI slop videos where it's just you see your face and suddenly it just slowly morphs into the Colonel, and you develop an extra finger or two.
Yeah.
And the spelling's on KCC Chaiken or something like that. Okay, I've got the book. Here we go.
Yeah, if I had £1 for or $1 for every time reddening buds. Yeah, one phrase he says, in shy bunches, they're reddening buds. So for anyone out there who thinks we're perverts, Proust did it. He started it.
There we go. Page 221. I had the desire for a peasant girl from Mességlise or Roussanville, for a fisher girl from Baalbec. There we go. There's a fisher girl. A girl who works in a ship shop. Just as I had the disease, me and Proust, two peas in the same pod.
Simpatico.
Exactly, yeah. But yes, now we're kind of gone from flowery language to overtly, desire. The pleasure they might give me would have seemed less genuine. I no longer believed in it.
You're right. It's quite an abrupt transition. And it all becomes a lot more overtly carnal.
Yeah. The passing figure who maybe my desire evoked seemed to be not just any specimen of the genus women, but a necessary and natural product of this particular soil. So this is the soil link back to that what he was talking about, the poppy in the field. So this direct comparison is that you said you could write a master's thesis or a PhD just on this section. You're linking the transition between the natural world and the human world.
No, I think he does it. Nobody does it better. Who sang that?
Quite as good as you, baby, you're the best. Ding, ding, ding. I used to have a Happy Hardcore remix of that. I still have it at home. I still one of the few records that I kept. I remember the record just said Cheddar 3, something like cheesy Cheddar 3, and it was that sample mixed into a rave tune.
Dr. Retardis and Stugor sing the classics. Come on, that's got to be worth people's dollars.
In the club style, of course, in the Vic and Bob club style. Nobody does it. Anyway, so we've got the desire of a woman. The piano teacher.
Sure, Vinteuil.
Vinteuil, yeah.
Should we go to it now? We need to get to the...
Yeah, let's just get to it now, because I think we're there already. In my notes, I think we're there.
Right, Paul. we can't pass by without acknowledging the place there to save her feet from contact with the wet ground stood a saint with the full cheeks, the firm breasts that swelled out of her draperies, like a cluster of ripe grapes inside a horsehair sack. I put in my notes a gay man's description of firm breasts. Because I think most heterosexual men are too confused and distracted by the word breasts. They couldn't focus long enough to provide that much of a detailed description.
Yeah, you can't focus anymore. It's like the world goes.
Yeah, and Proust, it's evidence of he was definitely gay to be able to describe so well, ironically.
Yeah.
Yeah, ripe apples is described just before then. But that just reminded me, the last thing I'll share is my Native American name when I was in America was he with buttocks like puppies fighting under a mattress. So I responded to that bit of Proust.
I thought it was dances with KFC.
Look what Jay started. It's all his fault.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Right, come on, get us to the scene.
I'm just thinking there's a little bit before that. Monsieur Vinteuil. So there's a little bit where he's talking. Monsieur Vinteuil passes away, and there was this bit. He's talking about the mother's reciting to Marcel that Monsieur Vinteuil is like he's trying to copy because he seemed like he lived quite a modest life as a pianist or a piano teacher or something like that.
Yeah, music teacher.
And he's music teacher. That's it. And then it's like he's sick in his older years, and he's trying to copy down all his notes, or he's trying to kind of leave his piano notes behind, and it's quite bittersweet. It's almost like, you know, you're trying to leave a memory of yourself. It's like I think Proust then goes on to a conversation about memory, you know, and an art restoration, and it's like the memory that you have inside yourself is more accurate than any kind of historical memory of, you know, Roman art that you were restoring. But yeah, I'm just trying to find it. No, it's just skipping ahead. There we go. Yeah, no, I can't find it in this edition. But yeah, no, it's just this idea of like external memory, and it's like when you die, you pass on something, but it, you know, does it really matter? Is it really significant what you're doing?
Yeah, it's just interesting. Before the lesbian scene, there is quite a subtle discussion of the nature of desire.
Shout out a quote, Paul. I'll see if I can find it.
The interchangeable instruments of a pleasure that is always the same. Indeed, that pleasure, the word pleasure would probably get you there.
Yep.
That pleasure does not exist isolated, separated, and formulated in the consciousness as the goal one pursues in a woman's company, or as the cause of the uneasiness which, in anticipation, one then feels. We scarcely think of it as a pleasure to be had, rather we call it her particular charm. We do not even think of ourselves, but only how to escape from ourselves, obscurely awaited, imminent, and concealed. It rouses to such a paroxysm at the moment when at last it makes itself felt, etc., etc., etc. So there's quite a detailed... Yep. I had my notes here, but I don't want to start you off on a Heidegger rant, but unconcealment.
I thought the thing that got me with this bit I got in my notes is this concept of the interchangeable instruments of a pleasure that is always the same. It's kind of like I think here Proust's acknowledging that this concept of love, you know, is quite utilitarian. You know, it gets you there. You feel attracted to someone. You know, you engage in a relationship to them. But in Proust saying like, and it kind of again, it's hinting at what comes later on in the society where, you know, love is interchangeable. Women in relationships are interchangeable. That strip it away from the myth of love. It's like, yeah, the experience he's saying is just the same. You know, women is interchangeable, and it sounds misogynistic, but I really don't think Proust means that way at all. He's just saying that, you know, the concept of a relationship is, you know, what's it for really? He's questioning what love is. He's questioning, you know, the idea of true love, and you find the one person.
And then just to bring things down to an onanistic level, there is when he talks about the natural trace like the one a snail leaves. Can you find, just if you do a thing for snail?
Yeah. Yep, until
that whole section down there. Forgive the vulgarity, but my notes just have whacking off ?
Yeah, leaving snail trails on the hawthorn bush.
He really does have a thing for the hawthorns.
Yeah. It's got to be coded. I mean, it sounds like he's really into his horticulture, but it's got to be some coded reference.
Well, that can be your homework for next week. You want a full report on the kinkiness of hawthorns.
I'm not talking about PhDs. I'm sure someone's done a PhD thesis on hawthornism and onism in Proust. I'm gonna check it out. Okay, 15 minutes. Let's go to the scene.
Da, da, da.
Dun, dun, dun. Depression. So he's He's down by the bushes. He goes to sleep, doesn't he? You can see through the window. So there's a bit of voyeurism going on here. Mademoiselle Vinteuil. It was almost dark when I awoke, and I was about to get up and go away, but I saw Mademoiselle Vinteuil, or thought at least I recognized her, standing in front of me and only a few feet away in that room which her father had entertained mine, and which he had now made into a little sitting room. So Monsieur Vinteuil has passed away. And we get the idea that it's talked about before that she has this lesbian lover, and it's hinted at that the village talks about it, and it's kind of disgraced Monsieur Vinteuil. It's broken him, so to speak. A highly Catholic country probably look down on things like this, and he's passed away in a very unhappy state. Basically, his family's been disgraced. His family name's been run into the ground, and the daughter's on her own. It seems like the lover has moved into the house.
Keep going. I think this suits you better.
Mills and Boon by Stuart, the audio book. So the window was partly open, the lamp was lighted. I could watch her every movement without her being able to see me, but if I had moved away, I would have made a rustling sound among the bushes. She would have heard me, and she might have thought that I had been hiding there in order to spy upon her. So it's where it gets complicated. So she was in deep mourning for her father who recently died. And
sorry to interrupt you, but it is forgive the puerile in me, but who's in the bushes today?
Yeah, what the butler saw.
But again, I'm just thinking he's so clever, Proust. He must have known. It's almost like a cliched melodramatic presentation of what's going on.
Yeah.
And that almost makes the horror of the actual psychological description even worse, because it's such a cliched way of presenting the scene.
Do you remember the film Animal House, National Lampoon's Animal House, and the scene when he's at the who's the famous actor, the guy who died of an overdose? Belushi, that's it, Steve Belushi, and John Belushi, sorry. And he's peeping through the window, and it's all done in a comedy way. It really starts off like this, but then it just gets very, very dark. There we go. So no, this is the part. Yeah. So finally given up hope, finishing the task of copying out the whole of his later work, the modest pieces. So it's almost like he's given up on life, Monsieur Vinteuil, before he dies, and then we moved on. There we go. Poor Monsieur Vinteuil, my mother would say. He lived and died for his daughter without getting his reward. Will he get it now, I wonder? And in what form? It can only come to him from her. So the reward he gets actually from beyond the grave is basically a gob of spit on his photo.
Yeah. I think Jay actually has had a stroke. He's just randomly typing Steve Belushi and John Buscemi.
That's it. Thanks, Jay.
It wasn't. I thought it was Belushi.
It's Steve Belushi, yeah, but I said John Belushi. I was thinking of John Buscemi.
So who's John Buscemi? And why can't Jay make his mind up?
So John Buscemi, I'm trying to think what he was in. So he was in Severance.
It is John Belushi. I was right. So why is Jay confusing us?
Jay, I'm super confused though. He was, my brain's melting now. John Belushi. There we go. John Belushi.
So thanks for that, Jay. That little detour.
Jay, you're confusing us, man.
Jay's just happy to be typing, so I don't think we should knock him too much.
He's contributing and making us laugh. He's part of the furniture, so we'll let him off. I'm going to change my name to Steve Belushi. Stu Belushi.
Right, come on, let's get to the sad bit.
Yeah. Is she named? Is the partner named? I can't remember. What's her name? Just so we can put a name to her, not the lesbian lover.
Because I think Mademoiselle Vinteuil, I don't think she's ever named either.
It's just Mademoiselle.
It's always Mademoiselle.
Yeah. See, a prisoner of Feng came into the room. So basically, she sets up this photograph. She's like lying on the sofa, and there's this photo, sitting in the room. On the mantelpiece stood a photo of her father, which she briskly went to fetch just as the sound of carriage wheels was heard on the road outside. Flung herself down the sofa and put the photograph on a table next to her. So she sets herself up for a lover to come in, and she's laying on the sofa with this picture of her father kind of directly in front of her.
And isn't that reminiscent of her father? The previous time he'd gazed through the window, he'd seen Monsieur want to rearrange his music composition,
Yeah.
and then change his mind because he wanted Marcel's parents to see it, or did he? So the daughter's reenacting, despite the fact she wants to spit on his photograph, she's actually reenacting the habits of her father, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. But Proust's mother kind of hints at that just a little bit before, talking about, you know, the father is he's made the daughter, like the daughter is part of the father, and this kind of is like she's repeating her habits, or she's repeating the habits of the father, his habits. Sorry. Let me get this. So yeah, it's almost like I got from this scene is that the daughter is setting up the room. You know, she's dimming the lights, putting the candles on, you know, putting the Barry White on, in anticipation for a sexual encounter with the partner. But then she's waiting for the partner to engage, but she's almost like kind of cognitively distancing herself from the act. And it's kind of talked about, Proust talks about it, this contrast between like the innocent daughter, the father's daughter, and this kind of, you know, sadist lover. And it's there, you know, it's this kind of like, she's almost like going through the motions, you know, being a bit prudish, like, oh, people are going to see us. But then it's almost like she wants to be seen.
But isn't that one of the, again, at risk of oversharing, isn't that one of the essential truths about transgression?
Absolutely. You want to be seen. Yeah.
Well, you need a strong moral code that you rebel against. And the problem today is there are so few genuinely transgressive acts left that people are struggling to get their kicks.
Exactly.
Whereas in the good old days when everything was verboten, actually life was exciting because you could, you know, go behind the social mores and what was allowed and play at the edges.
Yeah.
It's a Baudrillard quote, you know, what are you doing after the orgy? It's this existential ennui, this boredom. There's nothing left to transgress.
Yeah.
So but also I think that, again, I don't like introducing autobiographical elements because I don't think necessarily they're that important. But I do think, from what I remember reading of various biographies, Proust his mother had died and he was genuinely felt guilty about how he perceived he'd made them suffer because they must have picked up on the fact he wasn't a straight heterosexual man.
Yeah.
And there was, I'm pretty sure I remember reading in male brothels, he would reenact the photograph scene. And then when his mother...
absolutely, yeah. I've heard this is autobiographical, like what's happening here. And this is just this bit here is all with an instinctive rectitude and a gentility beyond her control. She refrained from uttering the premeditated words which she had felt to be indispensable for the full realization of her desire.
Well, that's classic. It is interesting, isn't it? The ritualism of certain sexual deviant acts, that there needs to be a certain repetitive. It's almost like, again, it's the transgression. It's almost like an inverse liturgy. Just like in religion, a liturgy provides structure and a sense of coherence. You need a perverted liturgy. In order to get off, you need to go through certain preordained steps.
Yeah.
And that's something that's why all these sadomasochistic stuff never appealed to me, because it's also bloody formulaic. Where's the spontaneity?
Really, yeah, so she the Mademoiselle Vinteuil is like, you know, playing the innocent. Oh, people are going to see us, you know, people are going to see us, and then the lover here is like, oh, all the better that they should see us. So she's playing the bad girl, and Mademoiselle Vinteuil is like the innocent girl who's going to be defiled, and it's almost like a stage play, really, isn't it? Like a pre-scripted sexual encounter.
Yeah, and the voyeurism, it also makes you wonder. The way Proust has set up the scene, Marcel's outside undetected, but there is the implication, and it's always the perennial issue, isn't it? Because amongst sadomasochists, to what extent is being seen also part of the thrill?
Yeah.
And then you
It's
get into
weird.
the complexity, which again I'll have to ask you about your expertise. To what extent is it spontaneous voyeurism of other people? You know, this faux shock that you've been spotted. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know you're in the middle of the car park watching me. Well,
exactly.
maybe you shouldn't have done it in the middle of a car park.
Yeah. Well, it's in the lay-by, as we say in the UK.
Yeah. Whereas my
Yeah.
KFC consumption is with all curtains drawn.
I wonder if that's some weird, bizarre fetish where you know it's not like dogging, it's like KFCing, where people lurk in the bushes and watch slovenly older males like in cars, you know, like eating KFC and covering themselves in grease.
What would it be called?
They'll
Bucketing.
bucket. I bet it exists. That's the scary thing for nowadays. All these weird things exist.
Well, I think Jay in Texas is a
Jay's an
repressed.
expert.
No, he's a repressed bucketer, and that's
He's
why
an
he gets
ex-bucketer.
every time we mention KFC, it's like a lance to his heart. He gets
It
really
is,
upset.
yeah, he goes cruising around town looking for KFC car parks to lurk in. But yeah, she reached out as far as she could across the limitations of her true nature to find the language appropriate to the vicious young woman she longed to be thought. So it's like, yeah, it's this game. Like she's switching between personalities. She's really like a decent person, but then she wants to get into this act, this performance of, you know, sadism. Yeah, but the words which she imagined such a young woman might have uttered with sincerity sounded false on her own lips. So it's like it's really who she is quite dark character. Mm.
Yeah, and perpetually in the depths of her being, a shy, suppliant virgin would implore and repel a rough and gloating brute.
Yeah.
So if we ever do, we were talking off camera about doing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde one time, and Proust is very good at portraying the bipolarity within most people's characters.
Mm.
And that you keep using the word dialectic. That is, you know, for most people, it's part of our character to play off one aspect against the other. We always tend to think of ourselves as unified personalities, but actually that's not how personality works.
No, I'm sure we'll talk about that with the guys tomorrow with Moby Dick. This kind of idea of duality of personality, the shadow and integration, because I know that's Darren's big thing as well. He's quite into the Jungian duality.
Integration, that's what you need if you want to
Get
be the best.
Integration,
you want to beat the rest. Integration's what you need.
Yeah, if you want to be a record breaker. No, if you want to be an integrator. What show was that from?
Record Breakers.
That's it, yeah.
You actually said it. Record Breakers.
I know. Then it's a transient ischemic attack, and I forgot what I was talking about for a split second. But yeah, it's this game, isn't it? This sex game here. Oh, there's my father's picture looking at us. You know, it's like, oh, how could that have got here? You know, she's basically set up this scene, this kind of, you know, a performance, like role play, I think they call it. Yeah. Like a role play.
What do you mean? Yeah. Oh, the faux. I love the faux shyness where you said, I think it's called role play.
I know nothing.
When underneath you're wearing a little Bo Peep outfit. But beneath the camera we all can't see. You've got your little crook to the side of the camera.
Bit adult-sized nappy or diaper for our American
just audience. a little pinafore. I'm just now projecting far too much.
You are, Paul. Look your pinafore.
Little Bo Stewart.
Think of Francois. Think of Francois. Down boy. But yeah, where's the spitting bit? We get to the spitting bit. Yeah. To Miss Veil, do you think you start whining? The old monkey.
And the teasing, you aren't too hot, you don't want to be alone and read.
Yeah.
Your ladyship's thoughts seem to be rather lubricious this evening. That's a brilliant word, lubricious.
Lubricious, yeah. I like that.
The lubricious zinger stack.
So yeah, I heard no more for Mademoiselle Vinteuil with an air that was at once languid, awkward, and bustling, honest and sad. Came to the window and drew the shutters closed.
And
Yeah.
it's the humor as well. So, in the V-shaped opening of her crepe bodice, Mademoiselle Vinteuil felt the sting of her friend's sudden kiss. She gave a little scream and ran away. And then they began to chase one another about the room, their wide sleeves fluttering like wings, clucking and crowing like a pair of amorous birds.
Yeah. Great description.
Oh, there's my father's picture looking at us. I can't think who kind of put it there. I'm sure I've said 20 times that it's not the proper place for it. Yeah, they're ritual profanations. I said liturgical before. I want a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of a liturgical response. Obviously, it lodged in my senile memory.
You get a bonus deep fried chicken wing for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just to finish off, I think it's like there's this little bit here. So she draws the curtains. I knew now what was the reward that Monsieur Vinteuil, in return for all the suffering that he had endured in his lifetime on account of his daughter, had received from her after his death. Spit on your grave, quite literally.
Where was the spitting bit, though?
It's Cinta here. Yeah, not there. Spit on it. Not on that. But does the lover spit first? Yeah, that's it. So do we? I don't think the spitting is described. It's just said that we are going to do this,
Right.
or the lover said we're going to do that.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel exhausted now.
You ready for some KFC recharge?
I don't really have anything planned for my lunch, which is depressing.
It's fit with you. You can go and get fish and chips, can't you?
No, well, I'm in the middle of nowhere, but when I don't know what I'm going to have, I always like the fallback is like boiled eggs. It's like, yeah, no, it's really depressing.
No, it's not good. Oh, well. On that note, on that depressing note, thanks for tuning in this week. Paul's off to eat boiled eggs.
No, it's like an Ionesco or a Sartre play, isn't it? Paul just sullenly eating boiled eggs.
Or it's Becca waiting for eggs to boil. The stage direction, black background.
Do you remember when Family Guy did a version of what was it called? Lint. It was a mock existential play, and it's the Family Guy.
Which series is that?
He's dressed as a clown and he's flipping a pancake, and then there's dust, lint goes across the floor, and then the very end he says in his voice, "Finn." It's very funny.
Yeah, I'll have to check it. I haven't watched Family Guy for years. I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, it sounds like something Family Guy would do. Right.
Boiled eggs. That's where it's at. What's his name? The Story of O. Georges Bataille. He had a weird thing about eggs. If anyone wants a really depraved, weird, surrealist, sadistic read, The Story of O. No, it's The Story of the Eye.
Story of the Eye, yeah.
The Story of O is something completely different, but also deeply perverted.
Histoire de l'aile. Yeah.
Yeah, because his father, I'll just finish on this lovely note, it's very uplifting. His father, and this is applicable to Jay in Texas, his father was incontinent and felt embarrassed. But when he finally let himself go, his eyes would roll up into his head. And Georges Bataille would see the eyes looking like eggs. So for the rest of his life, Georges Bataille had this weird fixation about eggs, because it was a sign of complete release that his father had enjoyed.
I'm just reading the Wikipedia. This at one point, Simone develops a fetish for inserting soft-boiled eggs into her, and the couple engage in a series of masochistic orgy.
I'm pretty sure there's a bullfight in there, and they chop that off the bull. And
yeah, as is tradition. Yeah,
there's lots of ovoid insertions all the way through. It's a very, very odd book. And I really don't know how we got from me having boiled eggs for lunch to that.
Well, I'm gonna have to check this out. Sounds interesting. Sounds like a must read. Well, top 100 books of all time. George Bataille.
So, and on that note, thank you, everybody. It's been a lot of fun. Even if you haven't had fun, we have.
We've had a lot of fun.
A lot of laughs. Are we doing this next week? Yeah.
2 weeks time, mid-June. So it's going to be Wednesday, Wednesday, 17th of June.
I thought we were doing 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
No, we're doing it every other week at the moment.
All right, okay, that's fine. You know, the people want what the people want. We will keep it from them.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, everybody. All the best. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye now.